like a little piece, Cosette? Here you go. That's good. Hello and welcome, boys and girls, to another of Cosette's Enchanted Journeys. I'm sitting here with Cosette, of course, and we were just enjoying this banana nut muffin together that we made in our kitchen just before you came to visit us. I love to bake goodies. Do you like to bake? I like cakes and cupcakes and muffins and cookies and pie. I probably like sweets more than I ought to. But for today, I think it's okay because I have a sweet treat picked out for us to do following a story all about some sisters that enjoy various activities like baking, and one likes to sing, and one likes to knit. But they're not just any sisters, they're the Chicken Sisters. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before, but they're very sweet and they're a lot of fun. Would you like to go and read that story with me now? All right, you know what to do. I'm gonna put my muffin down here. Ready, Cosette? Let's rub our hands together and wish us on our magic rug. Magic rug, magic carpet. You know what I mean. Let's rub our hands together and say, I wish to go on an enchanted journey, and away we go. And welcome, boys and girls, to another Enchanted Journey story time. Today's story I have picked out for us is called The Chicken Sisters by Laura Numeroff. I hope that you enjoy it. Violet, Poppy, and Babs were sisters. Violet, the eldest, couldn't see very well but loved to bake. She had to squint to see the dial on the oven, so the sunny kitchen in their little yellow house was often filled with smoke. Boy, do I love to bake, she would say. Poppy and Babs always ate Violet's cookies and cakes. Yummy, Poppy would say, delicately wrapping the burnt edges in her napkin. Scrumptious, said Babs, pecking gently past the parts that were burnt. It made Violet happy to know her sisters liked her baking. Poppy, the middle sister, loved to knit. She knit hats with chin straps, turtleneck sweaters with pom-poms, and covers for the lamps. Boy, do I love to knit, she would say. She gave all the sweaters she made to Violet and Babs. It made Poppy happy to know her sisters liked her knitting. Babs, the youngest, couldn't hear very well, but she loved to sing. She sang in the shower. She sang at Harriet's house of hair, where she worked as a hairdresser. She even sang in bed. Boy, do I love to sing, she would say. Babs sang off-key, but Poppy and Violet always applauded. It made Babs happy to know her sisters liked her singing. But the neighbors were not happy. Bill and Tessie complained about the smoke. The Fontinis complained about the noise, and the Fontini twins complained about the itchy wool hats Poppy gave them. Whenever the neighbors played bridge, they discussed the sisters. There must be something we can do, Mrs. Fontini would say, but they could never think of anything. One day, an old wolf moved into the neighborhood. He couldn't wait to visit all his new neighbors. Bill and Tessie were so scared, they stopped going outside. The Fontinis were scared too. When they went out, they disguised themselves in Halloween costumes. Mrs. Fontini dressed as a Martian, Mr. Fontini wore his old football uniform, and the twins went around dressed as salt and pepper shakers. The old wolf was thrilled to see everyone so scared. He hadn't scared anyone in years. He crept up to Bill and Tessie's window and bared his false teeth. He hid under the Fontini's car and yelled, "Boo!" The wolf liked the twins' costumes so much he wanted to dress up too. He rummaged through his attic and found a deep-sea diver's suit, a mailman's uniform, and a ballerina's tutu. He liked the tutu the best. Now it was time to visit the three chicken sisters. He knocked on their door. "Oh, a visitor!" Violet exclaimed. She invited the wolf in. She offered him her freshly baked coconut crisps, and he gobbled them down. They sat like rocks in his stomach. He stumbled over to the couch, moaning and coughing. "Oh my, you don't look well at all," said Poppy, pulling out a tape measure. "What you need is a nice sweater." She measured his arms and chest. The wolf just lay there. He closed his eyes. At that very moment, Babs started to belt out her favorite song, "Puppies, piglets, and pumpkins too." Doesn't she sing beautifully? Poppy asked, still measuring. The wolf tried to crawl to the door to get away, but he got tangled in Poppy's knitting. At that moment, Bill and Tessie and the whole Fontini family barged into the house. They'd finally decided to complain about the singing and the smoke, but when they saw the wolf, they froze. "That's the mean old wolf," gasped the Fontini twins. "I'm not mean," the wolf cried. "I was just having fun." "Fun? But you scared us," said the twins. "Please, let me go," the wolf pleaded. "I'll leave town. I'll even move in with my mother." So the wolf went off to live with his mother in Atlantic City. And the three sisters invited everyone to a party in their little yellow house. Violet made cakes and cookies. Babs sang. Poppy measured their heads for hats. And the neighbors didn't complain at all. The end. And what did you think of the story of the Chicken Sisters? You know what I really enjoyed was that Violet's cooking maybe was a little burnt and didn't taste that good, and Poppy's knitting maybe didn't fit quite right and was itchy, and Babs' singing perhaps was a little off key. They still managed to use their three talents as sisters to be kind to the wolf in the neighborhood, and because he didn't enjoy the cooking or the knitting or the singing, he left town, which made the neighbors really happy, and then they all could be friends. And I think the neighbors might have appreciated the Chicken Sisters in their little yellow house a bit more after that. Do you think so too? Yeah, I enjoy stories like this where there's a little twist. Maybe we're not perfect at baking, maybe we're not perfect at knitting, maybe we're not perfect at singing, but perhaps our talents can be very useful and still appeal to people and still be a wonderful gift that we share. Speaking of sharing, are you ready to go with me now and try another craft or activity? I think that since these sisters all had different craft talents, singing and knitting and baking, that we should pick one of those. And I'm leaning towards baking today because I haven't done any baking in a while. Would you like to go with me to my kitchen now and maybe make some cookies together? Hopefully they won't come out burnt and not so tasty. Hopefully they will come out really good. All right, why don't you get an adult's permission and join me and let's go make some cookies. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed reading The Chicken Sisters and learning a little bit about some of the activities they enjoy doing. And since one of our sister friends enjoyed making cookies and she talked about making coconut crisps, I thought it might be fun for us to make our very own coconut dream cookies. These cookies are a little bit like the Girl Scout coconut cookies, if you've ever had those, or the Keebler coconut dream cookies. So hopefully they come out really good. And you only need a few simple ingredients, which is the best part. I found this recipe at coconutmama.com, and it's called Coconut Dream Cookies. So you can look that up. And I'll put it up on the show too, so if you want to follow along with me, you can. You're going to need 14 ounces of unsweetened shredded coconut. I actually have sweetened coconut instead of unsweetened because I like mine sweet, but this recipe does call for unsweetened. So if you find unsweetened, that's even better. 2/3 cup of silvered almonds. I have some sliced almonds. I can use those. Those will work fine. 2 cups of chocolate chips, and 1 1/4 ounce of sweetened condensed milk. So I do have that here. And it's very simple. So the first thing you're going to do before you get going is to prepare your oven and prepare your cookie sheets. You're going to need a couple of cookie sheets, 2 cookie sheets. I have a couple like this that you can either line with parchment paper, or if you have like a Silpat mat like I do, those work really great for putting cookies on. So the first thing is to grab 2 cookie sheets and parchment paper or a Silpat and heat your oven up to 325 degrees. And like with all of our crafts and projects in the kitchen with Jenny the Genie, make sure you have an adult supervision and permission before you begin making cookies. I'm just going to move some of these things out of the way so that I can prepare my sheets. Again, I just use Silpats instead of parchment paper. And then once you have your cookie sheets lined, you can just set those off to the side. Another thing that's really helpful to have in the kitchen are measuring cups. So I have a couple of measuring cups. First step is we're going to mix some of our coconut flakes, and we need 14 ounces of coconut or 2 7-ounce bags, whatever you've got. If you don't like a very strong, very heavy coconut flavor, you can use less. So I'm going to actually just use this one bag, plus it is sweetened, so I think my cookies will have enough flavor without the extra batch of coconut. This is just 1 7-ounce bag of sweetened coconut. This recipe does call for 14 ounces, however, so if you're more comfortable, get 2 bags or get 1 big 14-ounce bag of unsweetened coconut. Next, we need 2/3 cups of our almond. You just pour it in your measuring cup, and when you've got 2/3, you're all set. Almonds are a little tricky because they're a little hard, so just shake it around and check your line and make sure you got 2/3. Just put it right into that coconut. And then you need 2 cups of chocolate chips. And I believe 1 bag here will do that. So if you have 1 12-ounce bag of chocolate chips, that's all you're going to need. That's going to be your 2 cups. And you can do however sweet you like. I do semi-sweet chocolate chips. My coconut's sweet. My chocolate chips will be plenty sweet, and that should be a nice flavor. So far you've added 14 ounces of coconut, or if you don't like a very strong coconut flavor, you do 7 ounces. We did 2/3 cup of almond. If you don't like almond, you could substitute with like a walnut or something else if you prefer, or a pecan would be good. And 2 cups of chocolate chips. Now I'm just going to take my spatula and just mix them around. They're all dry ingredients. Should be very easy to mix. You don't need a fast mixing machine at all. You can just do this by hand. See, that looks like a lot of coconut to me, so I'm going to be happy that I only used 7 ounces, I think, instead of 14 ounces. Or perhaps I'll just get less cookies that are more chocolate chippy, and that would be fine too. I heard my oven beeping in the background, so I know that's going to be ready for us. All right, once you have these dry ingredients pretty well blended, the next step is we're going to open up our sweetened condensed milk, and we're going to pour that right on top of all these other ingredients. And I'm using my spatula just to get all of that yummy condensed milk out of there. Kind of looks like vanilla. It's not quite white like milk, and it's a little bit thicker and richer. And then I'm just using that same spatula, and I'm just going to stir and mix these around until all of my coconut, my chocolate chip, and my almond are well coated with my condensed milk. When your timer goes off, you will check your cookies, and we're going to be looking for a nice golden brown color on top. Your cookies are getting close if they're starting to look a little bit like this. Mine need just a couple more minutes. When your cookies are all done, they may look a little something like this. Now, for an added bonus before they cool, you can add an extra special ingredient if you're anything like Jenny the Genie and you like chocolate for your coconut dream. I'm going to add a little bit of Hershey syrup right on top of my cookies as they're cooling. Just a little bit. Kind of stripy pattern. And again, this is not something your recipe calls for. This is just a little something extra that I'm adding. You can, if you want. The step is called optional. Means you have the option to do it if you choose. With a lot of the crafts and activities that I do, I like to add a little something different than what it calls for, just to make it a little bit more my own and more specific to how I like it. You can do the same. I'm going to let these cool a little bit, and then we're going to give it a try. Your cookie might look something a little like this. As you let it cool, it should harden up and hold a better cookie shape. If it's really crumbly, that's okay. It just needs to cool off more. Just make sure it's cooked really well through. Give it a chance to cool off and harden up a little bit so it holds together. My cookie's a little ooey gooey because it's not cooled off yet. So you definitely want to give it a chance to cool off before you try and eat it. But it does taste good. All right, you ready to head back to the magic lamp and say goodbye to Cosette with me? Let's go. And welcome back, boys and girls. I'm sorry, I'm still eating. Those cookies were so good. Were you able to follow along with our recipe and make them for yourselves? I really enjoyed that. And I'm surprised. Coconut's usually not my favorite flavor, but these came out so delicious and sweet. I really liked them. Do you like them too, Cosette? Yeah, and I really enjoyed the story of the Chicken Sisters. They inspired me to practice my singing. I don't know how to knit. I do crochet. Maybe I could practice getting better at my crochet. And I do like to bake, and I hope you do too. Anyhow, I think we are out of time for today. So Cosette and I will say goodbye to you now, and we will both say that we wish for you to come back and see us in our magic lamp again soon. But until you do, take very good care of yourselves, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.